Good evening. You are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Leaders of Britain, Germany and France voiced concern over the implications of the new Trump strategy about Iran's nuclear deal. Syrian troops and allied forces capture the city of Mayadeen from the Daesh group. And the inflation rate in the Sultanate increases during September by 1.6%. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said his country will continue to stick to the nuclear deal, despite US President Donald Trump's accusation that Tehran has violated the spirit of the 2015 nuclear deal. Rouhani made the comments in a speech last night, aired on state television in Iran. Rouhani said the nuclear deal is much more strong than what Trump believes. He also talked about moments of historic tension between America and Iran. Trump yesterday said he will not recertify the Iran nuclear deal to Congress because the country is not living up to the spirit of the deal and has committed multiple violations. Trump said that if Congress can't come up with new legislation, he will terminate the Obama-era pact. President Donald Trump angrily accused Iran of violating the landmark 2015 International Nuclear Accord, blaming the Iranians for a litany of sinister behavior and hitting their main military wing with anti-terror penalties. But Trump, breaking his campaign pledge to rip up the agreement, did not pull the U.S. out or reimpose nuclear sanctions. Trump is tossing the issue to Congress and the other nations in the accord, telling lawmakers to toughen the law that governs U.S. participation and calling on the other parties to fix a series of deficiencies. Those include the scheduled expiration of key restrictions under sunset provisions that begin to kick in 2025, as well as the omission of provisions on ballistic missile testing and terrorism. Trump alone cannot actually terminate the accord, which lifted sanctions on Iran in exchange for concessions regarding its nuclear program, but withdrawing the U.S. would render the deal virtually meaningless. Meanwhile, the leaders of Britain, Germany and France urged Trump in a joint statement not to do anything rash. It said the leaders encouraged the U.S. administration and Congress to consider the implications to the security of the U.S. and its allies before taking any steps that might undermine the deal, such as reimposing sanctions on Iran lifted under the agreement. However, a GOP lawmaker who will be at the center of what's sure to be a stormy debate is Bob Corker of Tennessee, who recently compared Trump's White House to an adult daycare center and said the president could be setting the U.S. on a path towards World War III. Meanwhile, the people in Tehran today rejected Trump's shift in U.S. policy towards Iran, which was announced yesterday. Syrian troops and allied forces captured the city of Mayadeen from the Daesh group today. Military sources said units of armed forces in cooperation with allied forces have regained control of the city of Mayadeen in Deir Zur, killing a large number of terrorists and destroying their weapons. The capture comes despite Daesh fighters managing last week to push advancing troops out of the eastern city just 2 days after they entered it. A renewed push by the Russian-backed Syrian troops saw them re-enter the city and sever the main road leading from it to the militant stronghold of Al-Abu Kamal on the Iraqi border to the east. In neighboring Iraq, Daesh has also lost almost all of its territory, holding now just a stretch of the Euphrates Valley about the Syrian border. U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis is urging Iraqi and Kurdish Peshmerga forces to stay focused on defeating the Daesh group and not turn on each other as tensions spike in the disputed region around Kirkuk. Mattis said the U.S. is trying to calm the already fractious relations between the two sides and figure out a way ahead. Kurdish forces had taken positions southwest of the oil-rich city of Kirkuk, but later withdrew. Iraqi government troops are also moving around the area. Mattis said that while there have been troops movement, he hasn't heard of any fighting. He added U.S. troops embedded with Iraqi and Kurdish units are working to reduce any potential for conflict. Tensions escalated after the Kurds voted for independence from Iraq in a non-binding referendum last month. Still to come in our news bulletin. So as to patrol and preserve vast Amazon rainforest is a big challenge. Brazil's authorities count on locals to form the front line in the battle for its conservation. The inflation rate in the Sultanate witnessed an increase during September by 1.6% compared to the same month of last year. The statistics issued by the National Center for Statistics and Information showed that the increase of inflation is attributed to the increase in the prices of water, electricity, gas, fuel, and housing. The governorate of Bulletin recorded the highest rate of inflation by 2.38%, followed by the governorates of South and North Sharqiya by 1.72%. Along with other countries in the world, the Sultanate, represented by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, marks the World Standards Day, which falls on the 14th of October every year. This year's celebration is held under the theme Standards Make Cities Smarter. It aims to stress that standards contribute to the building of smart cities, providing sufficient potable water and clean energy, traveling from one part to another easily and feeling safe and secure. A number of companies specialized in exhibition organization praised the new regulations for organizing and managing exhibitions. The new regulation will contribute to creating job opportunities for Omanis and support small and medium enterprises, entrepreneurs, artisans, and productive Omani families. Exhibitions and conferences is considered as one of the economic, social, and cultural tools to attract economic and tourism investments. The commercial exhibition is one of the best ways to meet customers, display goods and services, making deals, and promote national craft industries and products. In order to raise awareness on heart diseases, the Ministry of Health organized an open day on the occasion of the World Heart Day. The activity came to highlight the need to provide treatment and health information on the risks of heart diseases and encourage good nutrition habits. It also stressed the importance of walking as a daily sport, which may reduce the possibility of heart disease. The open day was accompanied with a medical awareness exhibition that included various divisions such as measuring blood pressure, sugar, weight, and body index. Along with other countries in the world, the Sultanate observed the World Food Day, which falls on the 16th of October every year. The celebration was organized by Dar al-Ata Association with the participation of a number of private schools and some volunteers. The initiative aimed to collect foodstuff to be distributed to low-income families. These food items were donated by some students in private schools. The increase in the non-communicable diseases rate and its connection to the unhealthy nutritional habits pushed health establishments in the Sultanate to encourage society members to practice walking. The Health Committee in the Wilaya of Dank in the Governorate of Al-Dhahira organized a health day which comes within the Sultanate's efforts and celebrations of World Walking Day, which falls on the 30th of September every year. The event aims to spread the culture of walking among society members, which contribute in decreasing non-communicable diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and cardiological diseases. The event witnessed an active participation from various society segments. In the far-flung reaches of the Brazilian Amazon, local farmers and fishermen spearhead efforts to preserve the rainforest and its wildlife. More details in the following report.
on a riverbank deep in the Brazilian Amazon, Benedito de Souza brings his brood of almost 200 freshly hatched baby river turtles from beneath the sand into daylight, a few days ahead of schedule. The 58-year-old is one of the local residents who hide the eggs from predators and other humans and nurture the newborns afterwards.
Eu considero isso como que fosse uns filhinhos meu também.
I think of them as my little hatchlings too, not only those of the mommy turtle. They're my little children too. I love these turtles.
Por isso que eu cuido delas.
Spanning an area larger than the European Union, the Amazon rainforest is almost impossible to patrol and preserve. Brazil's authorities count on locals like de Souza to form the front line in the battle for its conservation. Fishermen act as sentinels against overfishing of species such as the arapaima, which can weigh up to 200 kilograms. But it's a tough task for riverside communities who all survive on social grants. Poaching is an ever-present threat.
Muitas das vezes, trabalhar clandestino, o que o pessoal acha melhor.
People often think that illegal work is better because you make more money and it's easier.
As coisas ficam mais fácil para fazer.
And the battle has become even harder. This year, the Environmental Ministry's budget was slashed by over 40% as Brazil struggles through its worst economic crisis in a century. The trickle of money that paid for things like boat fuel on the ground is drying up. Here on the Purus River, the sentries lament the government's dwindling support. But they remain at their posts, giving the forest a fighting chance, one new hatchling at a time.
Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorates of Sharqiya and Wusta and coastal areas of Sea of Oman. Winds will be southerly to southeasterly light to moderate, while seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1 meter. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Leaders of Britain, Germany and France voiced concern over the implications of the new Trump strategy about Iran's nuclear deal. Syrian troops and allied forces capture the city of Mayadeen from the Daesh group. And the inflation rate in the Sultanate increases during September by 1.6%. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.